Howdy again everyone, and today I'm putting together a short video to check out how the Nikon version of an interesting new autofocus 7Artisans lens performs, their new 50mm f1.8 autofocus. It's a full frame or FX camera lens, and anyone who's seen my original review of it over on Sony E-mount a few weeks ago will know that this lens is not only very low priced at about $228 but also really very sharp. I was very pleasantly surprised by its performance, although I wasn't totally convinced by its autofocus. Does this Nikon version perform as well as the Sony version? I'm going to compare how the Nikon Z version handles its electronics and autofocus and how sharp its images look on a 45 megapixel Nikon FX sensor. That's the highest resolution Nikon has to offer at the time of making this video. If you want to find out more about the lens and how its optics perform, then take a look at my full review down in the description below, and if I remember I'll pin it in the comments. And thanks to 7Artisans also, who've sent this lens for testing, although as usual this is a totally independent review. They haven't paid me anything or put any stipulations on this content. The build quality is about the same as before, metallic, big and solid. It's not weather sealed, but we still get a USB-C port here for future firmware updates. The aperture and manual focus rings still turn very smoothly, albeit heavily. The manual focus response to turning it is slow but smooth. We still see only a small amount of focus breathing. Just like on Sony E-mount, the lens's autofocus motor runs silently and accurately, but a little slowly. It had no trouble with tracking subjects or anything like that. So overall, the build quality of this Nikon version of the lens is well up to scratch. It's working absolutely fine on my Z7. So let's see what its image quality is like on the 45 megapixel full frame sensor of my Z7. These pictures are taken with automatic corrections turned on. In the middle of the image at f1.8 we see good sharpness and good contrast, but it's not razor sharp yet. Let's look over in the corners. Good news here, corner image quality remains no worse, if a little dark. This is a better performance than other 50mm f1.8 lenses at this price point. Stop down to f2.8 and those corners look brighter, and the middle of the image looks even better. The lens stays this sharp from corner to corner until about f11, although at f16 the effects of diffraction are softening the image again. So, is it any different from the Sony version? It shouldn't be, but I did find it displayed less purple fringing than the Sony version. The Sony version did look a little sharper to me, but then again, that was on a slightly lower resolution camera, 42 megapixel instead of 45. Interesting swings and roundabouts there. Still, for $228, this is a nice performance. When it comes to vignetting and distortion, performance against bright lights, chroma levels and bokeh, well, naturally all that stuff is the same as the original Sony lens, so check out my full review to find out more about those aspects. Overall, the Nikon Z mount version of this handy little optic works pretty much perfectly and retains its very good image quality, so I'm happy to say that it still comes recommended.